Hey guys, welcome to Kernersville, North Carolina, the tech capital of the world. I'm joined by Kevin Doyle, the best producer in the land. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm awesome. How are you doing today?
That's good. It's our last day for the week.
It is. It is. This thing didn't want to go live today. I don't know why it took me an
Oh,
extra
it
minute
didn't.
to push that. I don't know.
It's a
YouTube.
conspiracy
YouTube.
against C Sharp, is what it is.
I think that's what it is. I think someone noticed the fire and flames in our thing today.
It's the JavaScript. So,
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. I take full responsibility for the clickbait card today.
yeah,
I was like,
it's okay.
we're just gonna say everything.
So yeah, we're going to talk about it. So it'll be good.
Exactly. So here you go. Josh already says, and we
Yeah, I
think
think
so, and
so.
that's what we're going to talk about today.
We're going to talk about it a little bit. Our advice is well founded, though.
Exactly. It's not just because us.
Yeah,
We didn't just pick it out of a hat.
right.
But yeah, we'll talk about why. We'll talk about why everything else sucks. No, we won't. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
no.
So, do we have any memes or anything like that?
We do. Actually, yeah, we do. Actually, hold on. Let me do that. Here we go. There was a couple. There was a couple that I like.
Okay.
This one.
You have to read that one to me.
Yeah.
Our monitor's far away.
I gotta try and blow it up a little bit. Mac and PC. I'm on the PC at the minute. I'm used to blowing up on the Mac.
Yeah.
This one is you basically got the CEO, the CTO, the marketing manager, all making six-figure salaries, and you got the senior program down here in the hole making 75K doing all the work.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, this was obviously a real picture taken. I don't believe it's actually staged. I think this is actually legit. This is a working site, which is the funniest thing about this.
Yeah. If you've been to American construction projects, it's kind of how it looks.
This is exactly what it looks like, isn't it?
Yeah.
You drive
There's no
past them all the
scamming
time.
going on there, right?
Drive past them all the time, and you're like, man, there's one dude doing the work there, one or two, and then you're like, why don't
Yeah.
you standardize it? So I like that one, and then I like that one was from Maverick, by the way, and I like this one from And too. I thought this one was good. Happy birthday, Linux. Here's your cake. Go ahead and compile.
You got to put it together.
You gotta put it all together. Here's your cake. I thought that was
Yeah. So we got a saying that our audio doesn't sound good.
oh
I
really?
don't know.
Who's
We're going
audio?
remix.
Mine, Bobby's.
Mine?
Give me the skinny. What's bad? Okay. Well, let us
You just
know.
went on.
Let us
Yeah,
know
you
what's.
just broke up for me. So,
Oh, did I? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Not sure. Could be a network thing then, if that's the case. Sorry.
All right.
Try and work through it. Let's know if it gets. So, here you go. Adam says.
Big Java's watching.
Big job. That's fun.
It could be a network thing because you are cutting out on my end.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Sorry. Hopefully it fixes itself here. It's from mine. Not sure. Maybe if I get closer, is that better? But I can't do that.
I don't know.
Maybe my mic. Hopefully it's not. Um, see if that makes a difference at all. Yeah, I think that's what it might be. I think it might be a noise gate that's on my
Yeah.
mic that I've just shut down a little bit. So that could push it down even more. There you go. That should fix it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Okay, so today's topic, we are talking about C#.
C#.
So the reason we're doing this, we've actually made a few videos on this. And when we first started
Yeah.
this channel, we had a bunch of hate from people about this topic.
Yeah.
We're like, C# sucks, it's terrible. We're like, well, no, we plenty of reasons for choosing it, and we'll talk about some of those reasons
we
why.
like it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And why we chose it, and the fact that it is a choice. You made a choice at one point in time. when you started the school. You made a choice
Yeah.
when you started your consulting company.
Right. Yeah.
So there's reasons behind that. We're going to talk through some of those. So we've made a few videos about this in the past, but we thought we'd catch up and be like, hey, let's talk about it again. Like why
Let's talk about C#.
Yeah, let's talk about why we did this.
Right. And so like now what I would say this just to like let's set the record straight. If you're doing web development, you have to know JavaScript, period. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
I was talking to a guy on Twitter earlier in the day, not really, just made a comment on one of his feeds, if you follow me. And he was saying that he's switching from JavaScript to Python. And my question back was, are you doing data science still, or are you moving to data science, or are you doing web development?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And then he says, well, I'm not going to avoid it like the plague. And I think a lot of times we make language choices based on Twitter.
Yes. We 100%. We based on what's trendy. And we've talked about this before in the past about if you ask like a developer like their favorite language, they're going to tell you something off the wall because it's flavor of the week. Like, you know, it's like, hey, this week, I've been doing like this. It's amazing. Hold on a minute. How long have you been doing that? This week. And is that what you do at your job? No. What do you do at your job? It's going to be Java or C# probably.
Yeah. So I think it's funny that, you know, our friends coding after 30, he said he got a React job. The first thing they had to do was learn .NET.
Right.
Yeah. So like, so here's what you know, there's a lot to this. Obviously there's a lot of languages out there.
Yep.
But a lot of you guys that are out there watching this channel right now or watching this right now are just trying to break in and those things like that. So a lot of our advice is based on breaking in.
Yep.
Can you learn 8 languages? Yes, just don't do it when you're trying to learn the first one. You know?
Right. And we do see that a lot. We've had questions here on our dev Q&As when we've done them, been like, oh man, how do I handle like learning 3 languages at the same time? And the answer is you shouldn't.
You should not. And then if you're learning Python, you absolutely should be going after data science. If you're not, and you're trying to break in with Python skills, then you're probably not thinking about what kind of job you want.
Right.
So I think you need to look into doing data science if that's the route you're going to take. That was my comment to the guy. And the guy's talented. He knows what he's talking about. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I mean, like, I forget the guy's name on Twitter. It's just random guys in my feed, shut up my feed. But my advice, my comment wasn't for him. It was for everyone else. Like, if you're doing web, I don't think you need to pick Python right now.
Right.
You can pick some other ones are better for you.
Python's had this, like, resurgent, like, thing happen with it. Because at one point, if you'd have said that 5 years ago, you would have been like, oh, that's the kiddie language. That's the one that like we just teach you to code with. You'll never use that, but we'll teach you the principles of coding with Python. But it's had this resurgence. I don't know what frameworks spurred that. I'm guessing there is
a lot of those out there, a lot of data science, machine learning type model building, those types of scripting languages were built out.
Is there a web framework for Python? Do you know? I know.
I'm sure there is, and I have to look at it. And
I don't know off the top of my head.
You know,
if someone knows it, put it in chat. I'm interested. I want to look it up and see what it is.
I forget the name of it, but you just have to start with one language, and I think that Python would be. And here's like this show's not about Python. I don't know how we got on this, but like,
hey,
it was just
we said everything else drools. So
exactly. So my comment was like, what are the things that you're going to learn how to do? And I still believe this. I believe you need to know JavaScript and CSS and HTML if you're going to do web dev. And you need a server processing side language. And I think there's 3 choices there. There's JavaScript, C# and Java. I think C# is the best one to know, period.
Okay, and we'll talk about why you think that in a second.
Right.
Here's something we've hit on a lot of times, and it's sort of a caveat to all of this. The biggest thing, if somebody's paying you to do something in any one of these languages, and that is your job, then great. You've made the right choice. That's like the biggest caveat to all of this. If somebody's willing to pay you to do it and you can make a decent salary doing it, then you've chosen the right thing. But you have to start somewhere, and that's why. So ultimately, that's why we have to that's why we have to pick something. You have to put a stake in something at some point in time.
Right.
You have to pick something if you're starting out.
Right. And I'm gonna be clear, I haven't messed with Django, and I haven't messed with Flask or any of those types of things before. What I base all my recommendations on is based on what you can break in with. Is someone out there using Django? Yes. You know, is it also the name of a movie? Yes.
I prefer the movie. I don't know. I don't know about the language, but I like the movie. I'm a Tarantino fan, so I'm good with the movie. Great movie, love it. Very, very violent. Actually, one of my wife's favorite movies. She'll watch it a ton of times.
It's pretty violent, but like no. But I think you start with the job first, and then you pick your stack from there. And then that'll focus in on your learning, especially when you're trying to start out. So if you're out there with no job right now and no job, but no development job,
right?
Trying to break in, you want to know how to break in, and you're coming to this channel, we're going to say that the stack absolutely matters.
Yep.
That's one of our logos and things that we've built out around here at Code Foundry, that stack matters.
Yep.
Because if you show a portfolio with the same stack that the person's programming in, you're more than likely, you have a better shot at getting a job versus trying to convince them I can learn this one stack. We see a lot of times, man, where Code Foundry students go out and interview for other stacks, and they won't hire them.
Right. Yeah.
And I get. That's why I think learn whatever you want is just the worst advice for learning to code crowd.
Yeah, because it's so unguided. Because we know there are 50 different paths to get into this, and it's like you need somebody to tell you which path to take. You need somebody you can trust to tell you which path to take. It's difficult, and you're going to get a lot of different opinions, and that's the other thing.
Right.
You're going to get a lot of different opinions, but you have to look at where that opinion comes from. The opinion has to come from like reasoned facts. Right? It has to come from it has to be based on something. And the reason that we do C# is based on something. It's not because you like the language or you think Microsoft's cool, because they're definitely not cool. Sorry, Microsoft, you're not cool.
I think they're cool.
I don't think they're cool. They don't do a good job of saying they're cool. They're not cool in the right places.
Just give us some money.
We're obviously not sponsored by Microsoft, otherwise I'd be forced to say they're cool. Sorry, Microsoft. But they just don't do a good job of being cool. That's the problem. So that's not a reason for picking them.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's totally not a reason.
Yeah.
There's cooler things out there to pick that are trendy. Microsoft's not trendy. They're just
they're getting to be trendy though. Like
they're getting
the
better.
Cool thing about .NET Core and .NET 5 and where they're going, and the fact that they've built the second largest cloud platform out there. Amazon's still bigger, but they're chewing up that ground really quickly.
Yep.
And Microsoft pretty much is going to say, I want to go after the enterprise market where all the money is. And when you go after the enterprise market, not only is all the money there, but all the jobs are there too. So there's smaller jobs and things like that. And we talked about that a little bit in our pre-production meeting about being happy and things like that.
Yep.
What makes you happy?
Right.
And a lot of people think you can only be happy in a startup. Yeah. And then startups just aren't.
Right. They're not the right thing for everybody.
No, they're just not. And then I have people online telling me that, for whatever reason, they base their entire decision-making process on Facebook.
Right.
That's because Facebook does this, therefore the rest of the market's like this. And it's just not true at all. Facebook can do whatever they want to do. In fact, they did. They built React. It did whatever they wanted to do. But that doesn't mean that you have to do what they do. And I think if you're going to pick a language and you're going to pick a company to stand behind, you have three.
Right.
From languages.
Yeah.
From the language department. I know Amazon's in there in the cloud, but you have Microsoft, you have Google, whatever they're going to do, and then apparently Facebook with React coming out,
Which is the weirdest one out of all three of them.
The weirdest
Think
one
about
of all
it.
Three.
Facebook is a social network.
Yeah. And so I understand that tooling. And Twitter made Bootstrap, but that's a little bit different. And so there's a lot of these big tech companies are rolling out their internal tooling and trying to market those tools out there. But if you really, really sat down and thought about it and thought about what Microsoft does versus what Facebook does, their tooling's always going to be better. They're just better at it. And the things that they're trying to do is their core business. Facebook does React almost on the side. So, and let's just call it what it is. React's a JavaScript framework. It's not really
Right.
I know people are just probably screaming at me right now, like, but it is a framework, and frameworks go in and out of popularity on the JavaScript side like every week. So suddenly Dino's like the biggest thing. Is that going to kill whatever? Like,
Right.
I don't know, probably. Angular was cool at 1, then it wasn't cool at 2, and then it came out with 4, and now people like it again. Like, and just people go up and down with the hate for these frameworks. And so like, but then you look at what Microsoft's doing. Microsoft clearly is going to make C# the first class citizen in everything they do. Right now, everything they do right now, today. Now, 2 weeks from now, they could change, but they usually give you heads up.
Right.
But I think C# for the next 10 to 15 years is where they're headed.
Right.
And so like, if you're going to go and you look at all the advancements they're making, they are on a mission to make sure everyone's using their platforms for code.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Like that's one of the reasons, right, too, for choosing this is because there's so much to it. It's so deep. The .NET framework is so deep. Like there's so much you can do with it. It's wide.
Yeah.
And
so like, and it's just going to be so big. And so like, what I don't want you to do is base your career on just a language. And really, when you adopt C#, you're really adopting .NET framework and all the things you can do with it, and not necessarily just the language.
Right.
If you're coding C#, you're coding the language. You're coding the language, which you're coding the .NET framework. Which is going to be probably the biggest thing in 2021. When you look at .NET 5 and where they're going, and then when you look at like containerization, you look at I can build mobile, I can build desktop, I can build web, I can build microservices, web API, and the power of Azure itself, where this is pushing out this fantastic cloud network. And those are the reasons why you can make your hay with C#. Now, do I work for Microsoft? No, I don't. I don't. And I make jokes about being sponsored. We probably really don't want to, Kevin. Then they would make us do stuff. But like,
here you go. Adam says the reason for doing C# was a fat checks from Microsoft a week. Yeah, that's not the case. But it's probably right. We probably don't want a sponsorship from them because then it's like you feel like you got to say nice things.
But at the same time, what I would say is I have made bank off being able to know Microsoft products and tooling in C# because everyone else wanted me to do that. So I coded in that stuff. I didn't come up that way. I came up with Power Builder and Oracle, and I did lots of things, and I still do lots of things. But like, when you look at C#, it's just going to be dominant for the next 10 years. Now, let's talk about the other one. I think there's major platform differences, especially in the web world where you have Java and you have like Spring MVC.
Right.
But I think when you look at the popularity of Java, and I could be wrong about this, and you guys can absolutely leave a comment down here.
You're going to hurt somebody now.
I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings right now. But I think Java primarily, or I would bet that it's around 50, if not 60% of Java devs are doing Android development. And when Google decides that Java is not the first class citizen for Android development, which they've decided, it's going to go down.
It lowers it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, does that mean that people aren't writing back-end systems with it? They're not using Spring MVC, building JSP sites? I understand that they are. But when you start like segmenting that part of Java out from C#, it's like it gets significantly smaller. And
so again, it comes down to like your choice today. If you're just starting out, would you choose that based on what you know now, or would you go the C# route? And that there's a choice.
The cool thing about C# and Java is they are very, very similar from a syntax standpoint. So like, if you haven't done Java before, but you've been doing C# and someone shows you Java code, you would recognize it immediately and be productive in it pretty immediately. The only difference is the underlying frameworks are different. And so like what you did in .NET, you have to find out how do I do that in the underlying framework in Java.
Okay, so there's just it's like a tooling difference. Is that what it is?
Tooling's like different, and then the framework itself is different. So like how do I, concat strings together in Java? There may be different method names for that you called it string builder and C#. It's called something else in Java.
Okay.
So Moses agrees with me. That is so true. If Google drop, I think they have dropped it for
that.
Android development. It's not that they haven't dropped it, but when you look at Flutter, it's built with Dart, and then they're saying that in the Android development kit they want you to use Kotlin. So like I think they're changing the language that they want to use, and so I think so it would take years, if not a decade, for this to happen.
Right.
Okay.
It's not overnight
because there's a lot of Android projects out there that have to be ported and whatever, but once it starts happening, it happens really quick. And then suddenly, you have to pick up something new. But hey, you know what? You can always pick up something new. I'm just saying, like, if you don't have a job today, just pick C# from the get-go from now, because that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. Or it gives you lots of opportunities to do it. So, but if you're in another country, not in the US, and they use Java like nobody's business, if you're doing embedded or some other type of development, I get that. There could be a lot of Java work there.
Yep. And this comes back to my statement at the beginning. If somebody's willing to pay you to do it, then you've made the right choice.
Then you make it do it.
But again, as a beginner, you need some guidance. You need to understand like the choice you're going to make initially, because you could run off down many, many different paths and get stuck at down each one, and then realize like, oh man, I learned that for no reason. Now I can't find a job. And we've seen students do this. We had students learn Ruby, went to a Ruby boot camp, and I've told the story before, and they like couldn't find a job doing it. There was nothing in our market for Ruby, and it was like, it's a valid skill. It worked. You learned to code. Yeah, you could build something with it, sure, but nobody was hiring for it.
And what's funny about Ruby was that Hack Reactor, which is probably the first boot camp, we were like right in there in the starting with everyone else. I think they were a year or two before us. You'd have to go look. Maybe 2012. We were 2014. They built Hack Reactor in San Francisco, where Ruby was like very popular. And they built their boot camp on that. And then people graduated these boot camps and then started other boot camps based on what they knew.
Yeah, but not only just the model, but the exact technologies they were teaching.
Yeah, they basically copied Hack Reactor, and then they moved to Utah or they moved to Wyoming, and they just take it with them. And then so these people go into these other markets and they go to that boot camp, and then they learn Ruby, and they're like, there's not as much adoption for it. And so like, and now what you've seen is a lot of boot camps have switched from Ruby to full stack JavaScript. We're still one of the few holdouts where we're teaching C# and .NET.
Yes, but with
I've got some big announcements about the boot camp that I'm going to put in a video for September that I think we can do, but we'll talk about them real briefly here. Not only are we doing .NET Core in September, we're also moving away from, and I know you're going to be shocked about this, Kevin, we're moving away from Azure and moving into another hosting vendor, because we want to show you how to deploy containers to these other vendors.
Because it's a common thing. It's a common thing to do, and there's plenty of these things now coming out where they're good. Our current students' portfolios are run on Netlify versus Azure, and I was telling you this just yesterday, how fast they feel. Like when you've hosted on the free tier of Azure and you go to something like Netlify, it's like night and day. Right? It's so fast.
And the other reason too, and if Azure wanted to fix this, we would do it. We've asked them, but like for students, Azure just isn't. It's not practical from a cost standpoint.
You can run up a bill there too easy.
Yeah, and there's free tiers, and they say they're free, but like you can and it's so complicated. If you don't know what you're doing, suddenly you get a $700 monthly bill, which isn't a big deal when you're running a corporation, but you're just a student trying to learn. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big
deal.
And
so like we're moving to a different platform. We'll talk about it. And we're going to still use .NET and C#, SQL, and everything, and show our students starting in September how to deploy that to these other types of hosting platforms and still run .NET up there because of containers.
So you could technically, once it's containerized, you can deploy that like anywhere, right? If you had your own server at home, could you do that?
Oh, yeah. You can run it technically anywhere, but like they got to support containers.
Right. Okay. So okay.
Most of them do.
But that's a common thing.
But that means I could deploy to AWS. I could deploy to Google Cloud. I think. I haven't tried.
I think AWS is a big one for sure. A lot of people want to know how to deploy stuff to AWS because it's super common. So
right, and we're using Heroku is what we're going to do. So,
awesome.
So we'll see. I mean, I think they have a really good free tier, And that's what we're doing.
Moses says Azure is kind of expensive, and it can get
And I
expensive
would
if you
say,
make mistakes.
I would say Moses, like Azure is kind of expensive, but it's not meant to be the. This is not. It's Azure. Michael will tell you, we're not GoDaddy. I mean, that's not what we're trying to do.
Right.
We're trying to run like, the NBA or something like that. Like we're trying to run like big, large things when security, scalability, all those things that's your problem, and the cost is the second issue.
It's enterprise hosting.
Yeah.
It's high level, expensive enterprise hosting. That's what it is. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Martin says, does Microsoft focus for profit in Azure?
I don't see that one. Where's that one? Oh yeah, that's funny. I'm gonna say yes. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, I think it's like 670 billion or something like that last year. So So Azure is a main profit center for them, but they're trying to deliver value there too. So like when you're hosting a commercial grade app and you're making money off of it, hosting can be the death of the company or the lifeblood of the company. And I've been through that with companies that I've owned where we had a very big commercial product, and when we started out, it's how cheap can we get hosting. And then
that should never be a question, though.
Yeah.
How cheap can we get hosting at a multi-million-dollar company is never a question you want to ask.
Yeah. So now then you have to move to these bigger vendors because you need scalability, redundancy, all those kind of things. And then when you add in things like continuous deployment, all those kind of things, that's when you move over to some platforms like Azure. So,
right. Here you go. Stan has a video recommendation too. This is it's a Scott Hanselman video, and I have seen this before. But this is probably what we should have called it too, and maybe an itch tool. It's a great video name. But he goes over why he loves C# too, which he kind of has to because it's his thing at Microsoft.
That's what they're making.
I think I've seen that video too, and it is a good video.
And when you talk to people from Microsoft, which we have on occasion, I mean, we've been honored to be able to meet Scott and meet several people from there.
Yeah.
They're really trying to do what's best for the developer in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely.
And so they're just trying to like make this is the best possible thing that can be. And so like, I just think that it's really, really robust where they're going. So, and when you look at .NET 5, and then now they're committed to like yearly releases of .NET 5, 6, and 7, they're just going to get there because they're spending tons of money doing it. Because if people use your stuff, guess where they're going to use it at? Azure.
Right.
And
because it's easy
to use. It's easier to use up in Azure than you're going to do it. And then just given the C#, like things like advancements in ML.NET, I've been saying this for 2 years that data science is going to get easier. And, I was showing you the no code stuff from Power Apps yesterday.
Yeah, that was cool.
You could build a model right in Power Apps without having to code anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, now does it do everything you want to do? No, but then you can take that up a level and move that over to C# or something like that. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, hey. We've missed you, Esteban. We noticed you weren't around. But there you go. You just started back at school. So that's awesome. And thanks for popping in. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tech. See you, Esteban. Keep coding.
I don't know what this means. I'm probably going to put something terrible on the screen, but there you go.
Looks Russian.
Does. I don't know what that is. Probably says something terrible, so I'll take it off just in case. Somebody just offended somebody. That's funny. Here we go. A couple questions then here. And this wants to know, best way to get started with C# and .NET. I just finished my master's degree in comp science, but all the companies are looking for .NET here in Denmark, and I am Python, JavaScript main. Right.
So if they're looking for web development, you can look at something like MVC Movie or Movie ASP.NET. There's a lot of, just go to ASP.NET, the actual website, ASP.NET, and then from there you can pick some tutorials.
Yeah, the Microsoft ones are pretty good, and they keep enhancing their documentation stuff too. That's something they worked on, I think, last year or the year before.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think that's the best way to go.
Yep. This is just like this is such a broad question. Look, why should we learn C# and .NET?
So you have to learn them together. Yeah. So the framework and the languages, I use the framework. So, and then I think there's a lot of things, there's a lot of advantages to that. Obviously, all the workloads is the big thing. But if you're doing web development, ASP.NET is really good. It doesn't mean you won't use JavaScript. If you're doing Windows development or desktop development, it's the only thing really. And if you're doing microservices, web API, and those kind of things is really powerful too as well. And then C# is for Unity, and even Unreal Engine has C#.
Yeah, that's also the same here. Game dev.
And so I think a lot of people are doing a game. Yeah, Unity, and then even Unreal Engine has C# behind it. So it's not everything.
Yep. I don't know if you know the answer to this question. Niraj is asking, why did Microsoft recommend using Entity Framework? Should I learn SQL before Entity Framework?
So Entity Framework allows you to access SQL tables.
And you kind of have to know how to use SQL first, right?
Yeah, they go hand in hand. So you need to know what SQL is. Oh, super chat, Ryo, what's up? Thank you.
Let's see.
What should I practice?
Oh,
and prep for September 28th. So I'm assuming Ryo got your acceptance letter for Coder Foundry. I don't know all the names yet, so
I know Natasha sent. She said on this morning's stand-up call. She sent some out already, and there was some more going out today. So I don't know if that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Ryo, if you got your acceptance letter, work on. We'll send you some stuff, but work on JavaScript early on. I think that's the best thing you can prep. You can go to Free Code Camp, or you can go to anything on YouTube, but work on JavaScript and coding. If you're not really comfortable with HTML and CSS, then do some practice there as well. We'll do that in the first day that you get here.
Yeah, you literally start building your portfolio day one.
And if Ryan, if you are coming in, and I'm assuming you say you are. I haven't looked at all the names yet. Just call back into us, and we'll give you some more concrete advice like that.
Yeah, but generally, it's going to be easier if you're more comfortable with JavaScript, right up front, because that's going to be your first few weeks. You're going to be HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript. You can do some coding challenge stuff early on, and then it makes it easier because you only have to really learn sort of the SQL, C# framework parts. So it's not the first time you're seeing some of those things. That's what makes it easier.
Yeah.
But that's cool, and thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Did we answer the Entity Framework one? Did we do that one?
I don't know. So what I would say is your framework is your ORM, and so I don't want to get into the whole explanation of this because we're on YouTube and it's a bigger thing. But basically, you create models, and then those models interface between you and SQL itself. So you can interface that using something called Link, and you also can write direct SQL as well, and then execute those SQL. So you're going to have to learn some kind of ORM framework. Any framework's built into C#, but there's things like Dapper as well. But you need to learn SQL, the language, and how to make databases, and what keys are, and all those kind of things as well. So all those things go hand in hand. So this is just kind of what you got to learn. But yes, definitely you need to learn SQL.
Okay. I'm not sure about this question. Israel says, do you think C#'s top-level statements will make it easier or will encourage more of a procedural programming style because the current boilerplate makes it difficult?
Let's take that one offline. I have to understand what he's asking.
Yeah, I don't quite understand the question.
I do know that there's a lot of Israel. They're improving the language all the time. So when you can look at some of the things that they're improving in C#9, is where you're actually taking out a lot of boilerplate code for when you're creating classes and things like that. When you're coming from it, from my perspective, we already know it. That to me, it makes it less readable. But that's what C#. They're trying to always improve it. So it's still object-oriented programming, though. It's not procedural programming. So So it's not like just one script running down the page like you see in other languages. I think object-oriented is still a benefit. I hope that helps. I hope that's what you're asking.
Okay. So. Toon is saying, how do you see Blazor in the enterprise environment?
I've already seen it. I'm just kidding. I think it's still yet to be determined. Really, what the adoption is going to be for Blazor. I think it shows lots of promise. I think Microsoft's very serious about making sure that this is a alternative to the Angular and the React frameworks, and that's how I see these two things. WebAssembly being a absolute fourth language inside of the web is important, and so I think that it's not a plug-in technology. It's something that's adopted by the standards body. So I think Blazor has a big future. We'll see if people like to do that, or if they want to stick with a two-tier approach to writing code where they have JavaScript on the front end and then something on the back end. So, but I think it's going to be big though.
Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Sid is asking, so he has a course called Software Design and Analysis. I intend to use C# to build a course project. Any ideas, recommendation for what the project should be?
So he wants us to tell him what he should build, what the project should be?
Yeah.
Well, for lack of, just asking straight up, build a bug tracker, man.
Right. That's
build anything that solves a business problem, that implements security on the front end, and then solves a business problem that's easily recognizable.
Depends on how deep you have to go in this class, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know. I don't know how big the project's intended to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a loaded question.
It is, yeah.
But you can build a blog too. It's another scaled. It's a scaled down bug tracker. I think the blog could be simpler.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, a blog is a good one. If it needs to be a little bit simpler.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not giving you the project that they want you to build.
Yeah, that is interesting that it's sort of free reign on what you can make.
Build whatever. Yeah. So you go out and build a bug tracker. Some guy built a clock.
Yeah. Well, it seems like. Well, here's the other thing too. Look, it looks like. So they have a course called Software Design Analysis. Look at this. He intends to use C#, so he's choosing the language, and apparently he's also choosing the project.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Right.
It is kind of strange.
How is the person How is the instructor gonna
I don't know.
What do they know everything?
So
they can.
I don't know what they'll do.
So how are they gonna grade it? It's interesting.
It makes it hard.
College confuses me sometimes. It really does. There was another entity framework question down here, which I think you already answered, but I'll put this one up anyway. Joker says, do you recommend EF for data access in .NET or another solution?
So I've used both. EF's built in a lot of documentation for EF. So if you don't know one, EF seems to be the case to do. If you want less of a black box for your ORM, then Dapper may be the thing that you want to choose. If you want something lighter weight, Dapper's smaller. And there's a bunch of them out there. But EF's built in. You'll see a lot of documentation about that with C#.
Okay, so here's one thing. Going back to my notes about why we chose C# at the school, and there was 3 criteria that we had. I don't know if you remember these. Mm-hmm. But the 3 criteria for choosing well-supported, well-documented, well-adopted. Those were 3 things that we talked about when picking C# for the school.
Right.
And it hit all of those.
Yeah, it hits all those things. It's, I see
Codenator Microsoft.
Codenator's got a question on here about documentation.
Oh, yeah.
I think the documentation is boring. So, I don't know. It's not a book, man. I mean, can
it be not boring? I mean, if you're not interested in it, it's kind of going to be dry.
I'm going there for answers, not to find out, plot twist, I mean,
that would be great. The end of a coding book, and it's like, oh man, the Butler did it. Like,
yeah, Christopher Nolan writes the documentation. It's intentionally confusing.
Exactly, it starts in the middle and ends at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. You start with the most complex things. That's awesome.
We're not making fun of you, man. I'm sorry, but like, no, I think it's pretty good, but it's just not. If you don't like MSDN, then there's thousands and thousands of websites out there now that have pretty much documented everything you can do with C#.net.
Yep, and I think the newer documentation is pretty good. I think Microsoft's done a pretty good job on the newer stuff. Maybe you're looking at something that's older. I don't know. The newer stuff that they put out I thought was pretty good. I thought it was well put together. Okay. Sam has a question. Which NoSQL database are you going to recommend for beginner? Which one do you teach at Foundry? MongoDB?
We teach SQL at Foundry, so we don't use any of those right now.
Yep.
So we're teaching SQL. So, and I think in a 12-week course, we got to pick one. We don't have time to flesh out both types of databases and when you use one or the other. I mean, so when you're doing a boot camp, you have to pick something that you're going to teach and stay with that stack, and instead of being like a shotgun approach, which I see a lot of these boot camps doing. They're teaching a lot of different things, and you come out with not a full grasp on any of them. So like, I think we just take an approach of how do I build full stack web applications, and SQL being the primary back end right now, still adopted in the industry. And so that's the one we teach. Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Yes, and this is what you were saying about the other tool. Stack Overflow definitely works too as another source.
Yeah, Stack Overflow, and there's a lot of people, Code Project. There's a lot of them out there that you end up on.
A good book too, C# in a nutshell. Those O'Reilly books are good.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see. Slither says, "Oh, sorry, you gonna say something?"
Yeah, there's a big difference between these two languages. Just go look them up. I mean, like, there's a difference. So they're just different. They're made for two different things.
Are they only the same in name? Is there some crossover, but it's like Java and JavaScript, just to confuse people?
There's an if statement in there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Memory management,
but they're not related. It's not like C# is a subset of C.
No.
Right.
No, they're two different languages. They have two different use cases. C# being a managed language, and they push it for different workloads. C being for lower level, closer to the hardware type language. So you manage your own memory.
I love this comment. Documentation in dark mode is fire. It says, when did dark mode become like the hip thing? Like,
I'm running dark mode all the time now, man.
Like, my phone now has dark mode. It's like, I guess, like, I actually changed my phone to dark mode. Like, it's, I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's become the trend.
Yeah, I'm running my Mac on dark mode.
You know what's funny? The no-code thing that I was playing with yesterday, the Google no-code app sheet thing, has a dark mode thing built in. It's like you can make your app light mode or dark mode. And I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. What else do we got here? Oh, this is interesting. People should pay others to create video documentations way easier. Not for everybody. It depends.
No, I still read stuff, Slither. I still read mine. I mean, like, in fact, if I'm looking at a tutorial and I could find a written one, I would rather do that than back up and go forward. And
I think it's about your learning style.
Yeah.
Different people learn
different
site
ways. Isn't for me, but like, you know, and here I am as a YouTuber. I'm on here YouTubing it up. But like, I think for pure documentation things, I like reading it, and while I'm reading it, I'm doing it, and that's hard to do it while watching, unless someone does make a specific code along video, and it's like super slow,
right?
You know, which I've done some code along videos, and people have said that took too long. I'm like, I know, but I'm hoping people are typing while I'm doing it. So it's always a mix between speed. I need to get this out in 5 minutes, or you went too fast and I couldn't keep up, and then it takes you 50 minutes to do Fizz Buzz, or hour and a half.
Right.
So you know, like, Fizz Buzz the movie.
Fizz Buzz the movie. I love it.
Feature-length film.
Rice says our shirts are even dark mode. They are.
That's it, man.
The black on black shirt, which I'm actually wearing today, by the way, right there.
Yeah, black on black.
I have the black on black today. You can get it in chat, top of the chat. I pinned it up there when we started here today. So if you're interested in that shirt, that is the everything matte black dark mode shirt.
Yeah, that's just kind of cool.
Here we go. Does EF work with MongoDB?
I'd have to go research that. I'm just gonna be honest, I don't know right now.
Yeah, my guess is
I have to
maybe
go
not.
Look at it. I would say it would, but like,
you think it would? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've done that, I mean, that's fine. It's just an object mapper. So like,
okay.
I don't know. I'd have to go look at it and see.
Here's an interesting question. I might rephrase it a little bit, but when do you think that a developer has more level than a junior level in .NET? So when do you no longer become a junior, I'm guessing is the question.
Juniors are titles, man. I don't think you should put that title ever on your resume. Just put yourself as a .NET dev. Let them pay you what they want. The only level I really think you're concerned about is the level of your paycheck. So like, I think that titles are just do that. It just limits your opportunities. And I know that titles are different in the U.S. than they are in India and other places where some titles carry weight, and there may be more governmental control behind those titles. In the U.S., titles are just the thing you put on your business card or your LinkedIn profile.
Right.
They don't
often limiting yourself by putting words like junior on it.
That's all you're doing, man, especially with junior. So don't even do it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Here's an unrelated question, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Looking at buying a good domain name to host my portfolio. Can't find a good domain with my first name that is either not already taken or super expensive.
Wow. So like.
That was my thought. I was like, wow.
That is taken.
And if it's not, I'm going to go buy it, and you can buy it off me. How is that taken? A combination of your first and last name can work. And if not, make it like make E and then your last name.com, or don't even go. You don't have to have a .com too if it's your personal site. You can use one of the other top level domains. Like there's a ton of them. I think isn't that .dev now? You do .dev.
There's .dev.
.dev is good.
There's a lot of
yeah. So yeah, don't be afraid to do that either. I don't think that hurts you.
And then you can also have something like escodes.com or something like that.
Right.
You can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can sort of sub-brand yourself with your initials or something, or your name, something, the word codes or developer or something like that. So I'd be surprised if Tisham developer is taken, something like that.
Yeah.
It says .me is taken. Yeah, I mean, if it is, just move on. Pick another one. Yep. Yeah, so you need to probably go away from, you probably need to go away from then just your name and choosing the domain. Pick something else up front, not just your name. Okay. Try and rebrand that part of it and try that.
Right.
There we go. I've never read this book, and I'm guessing you probably don't have it. C#.
That's the one we give out in class, don't we?
Do we? Do we have that one? I don't know.
We give out some book in class.
Is it an O'Reilly book? Oh, maybe it is then. Oh, maybe it is actually.
Yeah.
Maybe it's is it a condensed version or something? Yeah, you're right. I think we do. I think we have that. Yeah, you're right now that I think about that.
So if you come to the boot camp, we'll give it to you.
Yep.
So
yes, we like that book. I've never read it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'm not sure we came. Did we come up? I'm not sure we didn't come up with this. I don't know if this is a question to somebody else, but we didn't. Did we? I don't think we coined that.
That just means that what that means is that you just you keep doing tutorials that never lead to a project, and you never finish your learning journey because you just take tutorial after tutorial to tutorial.
Yeah.
And what we said a bunch is you need to take a tutorial, learn some stuff, and then build a project based on the knowledge in that tutorial. And that's how you get out of it.
So it's more like tutorial purgatory.
Yeah. The purgatory,
you just get stuck there.
Get stuck. You can get out.
You can get out. When do you call yourself a senior engineer?
Moses,
This is going to depend on your country, probably.
yeah, if you don't feel like you're a senior software engineer, then just call yourself a software engineer. You don't have to put senior, junior, master, or anything like in front of it. I don't think you need that. And then interview for the roles that you think you fit for. So I don't know when that happens.
Yeah, I think the answer genuinely is that it's different for different people too.
Yeah, and if they give you the title, I guess that's what you can call yourself.
Make sure they give you the paycheck to match it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here you go. Rennie says the same thing. The BS job I work maybe 100K C# software developer. I don't need senior in front of that. That's exactly it. That is 100% it. You get it.
You don't. Just tell them what you want, how much money you want.
Yep. Here you go. How important are algorithms, data structures for web dev?
All that stuff's important. I just think it shouldn't be your entire process for getting a job.
Yeah, we get a lot of comments about this.
Yeah.
We do. We get a lot of opinionated comments about this, and people are like, and it sort of comes into the realm that we're talking about today, and it's like, the language doesn't matter, you just need to understand algorithms and data structures. Yeah, but algorithms and data structures without a language won't get you paid.
And
you can't show up to somewhere.
The tooling and all the other crap that goes along with building a web dev with ASP.NET. It'd be nice if you could build those first. How many times do you use linked lists? I don't know. I mean, but a lot of this stuff is very Googleable.
Right.
Do you ever sort a binary tree? No.
Bubble sorts.
And then someone's going to write down, I did it last week. Okay, I get it. You did it last week.
Yeah.
I did a bubble sort. That's what I was doing.
Exactly.
SQL didn't give me the performance.
Yeah. I remember in school, one of my computer classes was on that level. And I was like, is this what this is? Because this is kind of boring.
Exactly.
Really? Understanding how this sorts through a data structure and okay, I get it, but when am I ever going to use that? And I never did anything with it, and it sort of turned me off a little bit to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's a good question. John says, how do you get over a loss of motivation when it comes to coding?
John, I'm going to tell you what a student told me last week. So one of our students that just graduated and got a job was in the middle of the last cohort, and they thought about quitting. And they called me on the phone and told me what they did. They literally went to Indeed and looked up jobs and thought what they paid.
That was the motivation enough to keep going?
That's going to be me. And they went back to coding.
Okay.
That's just what one student did. That's not my advice. I mean, so whatever the reason you're doing this, is it because you want a better job, you want to take care of the family, you got a wife, you got kids, or whatever, and whatever it takes. Or if you're doing back-breaking work and, you slip 5 disks moving packages, I get that. Use whatever you have to do to get over, to get the motivation. Hopefully it becomes fun, and then you don't really have to be motivated. You just like doing it.
Right. Right. Here you go. Here's what Alex says. I take a junior dev role, salary was 100K, less responsibility, more pay.
Yeah, it's like being a backup quarterback in NFL. The best, especially if
best
you're
job ever. Yeah, exactly. Best job ever. And they're going to pay you a fortune. You never hit the field.
Keep your knees.
That's funny.
So they just hand you stuff to do. It's easy. It's kind of funny. I like it.
Okay. Quake wants to know why a lot of companies ask algorithm and data structure questions.
They do, but it's true here too. They copy Google, they copy Facebook, and you do have to practice some of them.
Yep.
They just do. I don't know why they do. It doesn't make sense because they don't typically do those types of problems in the job. And so, if you're interviewing an engineering company, I kind of get it. So there's a company that we've placed at that work on engines diagnostics, and so there's a lot of transversing binary. That's one of their questions, but they actually do that on a daily basis. So it's a good question to ask. What I don't understand is why you're going to ask someone about binaries, binaries and linked lists when you're building websites. And you really, what you want is someone who's really good at HTML, JavaScript, and some backend coding language. It makes no sense to me, but they do it. And I think it's just because they copy how Google does it. And they don't understand that Google's building different products than most people. I mean, they're actually building the search engine that runs the internet. So like there's different problems that they're interviewing for, you know? So I don't know, but you got to study them. So look at coding challenges, look at Leak Code, and look at, you know, daily coding problem. Get 20 of those and you realize they all start following the same kind of pattern, and you can learn them and get over it. So
there was I was trying to look for it. There was a meme posted at some point about this, and it was like, job interview, like sort this binary tree, and then it was like, on the job, change the color of the title to red.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, man, okay. I thought it was funny, but exactly. It's in there somewhere. I just couldn't find it quick enough.
So, and then I see some of these smaller companies asking coding challenges that are like Googleable in 10 seconds.
Yeah, you know? It's kind of pointless.
You know, like so, you know, we had a company here, and it's not pointless, but like, you know, like we saw one that did I don't want to say which one.
Well, it is because it doesn't show. I mean, for me, it feels pointless.
But there's a whole website dedicated to their one coding challenge.
Well, that doesn't prove anything, does it? Because I can just remember what. I mean, if I have a good memory, I can just go remember how to do it. Like, it doesn't show any kind of logic skills at all. Or you can just go somewhere and just look up someone else's identical solution. Right. So. Right. It's just more of a statement, but I like this and agree with it. I tweeted out something about this the other day on our account. I don't focus time on a bug for over an hour. I work on something else and come back to it. This helps me maintain morale. Bugs can kill motivation. That's a great way to do it. If you get stuck on something, anything, taking a step away can definitely help. Yeah,
sometimes your subconscious will solve it while you're doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I think you said the best thing you can go do to solve a problem, go take a shower. Like, just
walk
step
around,
away, just walk away, just do something else.
Yeah, and then something will come to you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of funny.
Oh, we do have a recommendation for this, actually, Moses, for algorithm data structures. It's more about I wouldn't necessarily just call it that, but more about interview coding questions. The Green Book. I forgot what the name of the
the Green Book. Yeah,
the Green Book. Cracking the Coding Interview. I think it's called
Cracking the Coding Interview.
Great book, and it's
a great companion book is Breaking the Code, Kevin.
Funny. Do I have one of these back here?
Do you have a copy of that book?
It's down. Oh, it's hidden.
It's
off camera just a little bit.
It's off camera.
It's just off camera. Here, hold on, mine's here. Look, let me put myself on thingy. Hold on, there we go. It's down here. Look, there we go.
Breaking the Code. So get the Green Book and the Blue Book. So,
but yeah, that has some great.
Code it's
good. That. It's good. It has a lot of coding interview questions, and a lot of them are technical, like problem-solving questions. It's a good book. It's a very good book. Let me see. What is Eric saying? You should make a video on Azure. We'll be able to host projects there, but I don't know how expensive it will be. I had a previous analyst job where I had a subscription that's run out, so I have to pay. That's what we were saying before, Eric. Like, it can rack up, like, if you don't use the right tier. So be careful with posting stuff out to Azure.
It just can cost you money. And so, like, we're using something now, Heroku, because it's easier to consume. But we're actually taking a complex approach where we're pushing it through containers inside the boot camp. But once you get it up there, I think you can run 5 apps for free. So,
right.
Azure Billing, as Codenator says, is tricky.
Yes, yes, it is. Their tiers are very weird. Like, I don't understand. They have two kind of. They have a free tier and like a lower tier that looks higher than a free tier, but it's not.
Like, you can sign up for the free tier, but then you can use the database other tier, and in some cases it'll charge you. It's just kind of weird. I think it's not made to host your portfolio on.
Right.
It's just not. Yeah. You know, so like if you're making money on your website, then absolutely just go up to Azure, because I promise you, if you're making money on it, hosting is not your biggest concern. It's uptime, scalability, security. There's a lot of other things that you want.
Yeah.
out of your hosting vendor than just being cheap.
And the free one, by the way, is dog slow. Like it's not good. It's not a representation of the actual product. Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's the downside to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Raj wants us to link the student portfolio. Let me see what video that was, Raj. It wasn't that long ago.
Shanice's maybe.
Yeah. Could you find that, Adam? I don't know. Is Adam here even? I think Adam's here. Could you find that, Adam? It was a student portfolio, I think was the video. It was a live one that we did.
And then Brian Quinn's
maybe
was
something
good
like
too.
that. Yeah, and Brian Quinn's one's good too. I'd appreciate it. And if not, I'll post it in the description after.
Right.
Save me going to search for it right now. You guys watching me search for stuff. Here's a good question too. We'll do a couple more. We're over the hour, so.
Okay, yeah.
Martin says, just asking from a freelance perspective, what do you think about .NET in small and medium enterprises compared to others?
Yeah, I'm a small to medium enterprise. I love it.
See it more than you'd think. People think it is like, oh man, just the banks are using that. That's what drives it. It's not.
No, it's not true at all, man. They're using it everywhere. Because coders go to all these other companies, and it's everywhere. Absolutely, it's everywhere. And medium is depends on what you think medium is.
Yeah, medium's still. I mean, in today's markets, a medium-sized company is still millions of dollars in.
Yeah, 100 to 500 employees. Maybe a dev team of 30. Yeah. Small could be a dev team of 10 employees and 3 developers, but they're still probably going to use .NET a lot. Just because you're small doesn't mean you shouldn't use .NET. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So you may be making a really big thing.
Okay, let's do one more.
One more.
Maybe.
We'll go for the road. Yeah.
Time to eat steak and eggs. JavaScript Node.js drawbacks compared to C#.NET. The short answer is fine.
C#'s faster.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just telling you right now. Like, you can go look at it. It's not me saying that. Just look at it. Does it matter on all projects? No, not necessarily. Your Node.js project may not need to be performant, but C# absolutely is faster. I think the tooling's better, and I think it's easier to get up and running with Visual Studio.
I think that's the thing for me that surprised me about when I first saw Visual Studio and spinning up a project. I was like, okay, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it's like push button and like it's there. Yeah. I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And I know it takes a lot more to do some of these things. So I remember when I was in college doing PHP and I made this little social network thing, everything was like ad hoc. I remember trying to do everything outside. And I was using like Sublime to do the text editing stuff. And it was like I had to get a server running and get this other thing come in, and it had all these dependencies. And it took half the time was spent setting up stuff.
Set up.
In Visual Studio.
And once you get there, you can get there. But Visual Studio, it's just everything's included inside the tooling. Yep. You hit the little run button, it launches ISS Express.
Yep.
Your website pops up in it.
I feel like it has a shallower learning curve.
Yeah. The tooling's just better.
Yeah.
And it's faster.
Yep.
So.
Last comment. Niraj says he was amazed by the content coder Foundry they teach in their bootcamp, looking at those projects. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we try. I mean, we really do. We push them hard. I know that it's hard. I know a lot of them kind of like rebel a little bit against us because it's so hard. It's a lot.
That does happen.
They just don't finish the projects. But we think that it's what you need to know to get a job. And so we're all about the job and not making it easy for you necessarily. Not that we don't teach it. I don't want you to say that. We're just not trying to take the easy road to learning how to code. Learning how to code and getting a job as a software developer are two different things. And so Coder Foundry is built around teaching you what you need to know to be a software developer. That's just kind of the way we look at it. Whereas a lot of people are thinking, how easy can I tell you how to code? But if those skills don't translate into jobs, what's the point of learning how to code? Unless you're going to build something on your own by yourself. But people don't come to us for that. They're looking at us to get them a job.
Right.
So that's why they build those projects. And we push them hard, and they work they're working a lot, 9 hours a day, sometimes more, and for 3 months. It's hard.
Yep. We have some new ones to share here soon too. We have another group of
Yeah.
students about ready to graduate here soon. So
And
and some of
left.
those guys were former people who would join us here every day. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping some
exactly.
of those guys
Yeah.
will come back and share their stuff. That'll be super cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that
Yeah.
stuff. I've seen some of their work and it's legit. It's good. Like, it's good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're a little after the hour, so let's wrap this up.
All right, cool.
We'll be back. I'm out next week, so that's awesome.
Wednesday.
So Wednesday next week. But
Yeah,
we'll be
so
back
I'm
with a
out
guest
too.
co-host.
Yeah. So Danny Thomas is coming. So if you follow him on there, he's a good motivator. And working on a Thursday co-host, hasn't confirmed yet, so I'm hoping he'll come out so that we can get and pre-advertise that. But you'll see that on follow us on Twitter. Link and subscribe, get notifications, and you'll see who that guest is once they get confirmed. Because I've mentioned a guest before, and then they never showed up.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to do that again.
So that'll be closer to the thing. So we'll at least be back next Wednesday for sure. Probably next Thursday, but Bobby's off Monday too. So yeah. So we'll see you then. Maybe I'll join from the beach. I'll join you guys in chat.
Chat it up.
I'll ask some questions, some of the hard stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Me and Kevin are going to take a couple of days off. Kevin will be gone on next week, but I'll be here next week and see you with Danny Thomas. Anyway, good luck. Keep coding. We'll see you later.
See you guys later.